died on the same day and they went to heaven. And after a few weeks, St. Peter saw the mouse and he asked him, he said, how did you like it? And the mouse said, well, it's great, but it's so big. It'd be better if I had a pair of roller skates to get from one place to the next. And so St. Peter got the roller skates. A few weeks later, he saw the cat. He asked the cat, he said, how do you like it? And he said, man, it is fantastic. I just can't tell you how great it is. And when I thought it could get no better, I discovered that you have Meals on Wheels. Today, we are talking about the keys to the Christian life. And there's a book that I've been reading, Why Men Hate to Go to Church. And so we've tried to implement a few things to help you that are men that maybe you say, well, I don't hate to go to church, but I come because my wife tells me to. Well, that may be the case. But I want you to come to church because you love God. And I'm not trying to say you don't get me wrong, but I will have this book available in the library or the bookstore. And I'm going to give 3 or 4 copies. And when you read it, it will really, you might, as I said to myself, that's exactly right. I feel the same way. I know I'm the pastor of the church. I don't hate to go to church, but I can see how some things are difficult. But today we're talking about the keys to the Christian life. You may think that it's too hard to live a Christian life, and it is if you try and do it on your own. The only way that you're going to make it is with God's help. I've told you that before. And God alone has the keys to living a Christian life. And without those keys, you won't be able to live it. You won't. This morning, we're going to talk about the 4 keys that we need to live a Christian life. Now, there may be other opinions, and there may be other things that we could put in as far as these keys, or alternative ideas. But today, we're going to look into God's Word to find a familiar way to make your life the best that it can be. After all, the Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 16, verse 19, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whosoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever shall be bound on shall be loosed on earth shall be loosed in heaven. God holds the keys in His hand, and He will give them to you to help you live a fruitful life for Him. That's right. Well, the first thing today is the first key is self-denial. Those verses that Brother Ed read, self-denial. And it also talks about it in Luke chapter 9 and verse 23. And He said unto them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Well, the first thing that we need to do is follow Jesus. But sometimes people, they make it too hard to follow Jesus. And they say it's hard. Well, it is hard if you try and do it your way. Right. We need to do it God's way. Right. I believe that Jesus asked us to deny ourselves because He wants us to be open to Him completely. Amen. Get everything out of the way. Take off the foggy glasses or whatever you have that's keeping you from completely being open to God. Everybody has a pet peeve of besetting sin. Something that they have to deal with maybe even on a daily basis. God says, you know what, I can take that away from you, I can help you with that, but you've got to make up your mind that you want to do what's right. You've got to make up your mind that you want to live for Him. You want to serve Him. And open your heart and mind to Him completely. Yeah. Don't hold anything back. To get everything out of our way. He wants to get everything out of our way so nothing is stopping us from devoting ourselves to Him. If you don't deny yourself, then there's a very good chance that you aren't going to follow Him completely. Completely. And you know what? It's not rocket science. It's not too difficult. It's just, you know what? Do right. Do right. You don't have to sin. I've told you that before. You choose to sin. You don't have to do anything. Nobody's going to let me say, well, what if somebody's holding a gun to my head? Well, that's a different situation. situations, but how many of you had somebody hold a gun to your head? You raise your hand and force you to do something. There you go, one right there. The rest of you, you have no excuse. But you know what I'm saying? Unless the only way you're going to be able to do this is to tell yourself, you know what? I want to do this. I want to live for God. I want to do what's right. I want to get my name written in the Lamb's Book of Life. I want to go to heaven. Open Him completely. If I wanted to receive all that God had for me, I'd be ready to get myself out of the way and just allow Him to bless me. The things that you used to do that cause you to stumble, you need to stop them. The places that you used to go that would cause you to stumble, you need to not go there anymore. It's pretty easy. Hanging out with the buddies, doing the wrong things that go against the Bible, you shouldn't do those anymore. The movies that don't honor God, stop watching them at once. The internet sites that used to go to that didn't honor God, you need to stop them at once. Don't go there. The places that you and that special someone used to go prior to marriage, don't go there. They don't honor God. Stop going there at once. The temptation to do wrong is so strong. But with God's help, we can say no to temptation. Whatever it may be. If it's a lustful, if it's a sexual thing, or if it's overeating. Whatever the thing is, whatever the temptation is, then whatever the devil fights with you about, whatever the devil uses to pull you down, whatever the devil uses to frustrate you, you know what? Just get it out of your life. If you're an alcoholic, I would not recommend going to a beer joint to talk to a buddy. I wouldn't recommend having beer in your home. If you're an alcoholic, it's not going to help you. If you have trouble with cigarettes and you're trying to quit smoking, then don't buy cigarettes. I used to dip snuff when I was a teenager. I started dipping snuff when I was in 9th grade. Just because, believe it or not, I enjoyed it. Is that nasty or what? It is. If I can smell it now, I just want to. Whew. But I can't tell you how many times I would buy a can of snuff for about $5 and I'd feel guilty and throw it out the window. Before you just open it up, take one little pinch of it, and throw it out the window and feel guilty. And I'd say, God, please help me with this. Please deliver me from this. But you know what? He was trying to deliver me from it, but every time I walked through the store, hey, give me a can of that. I wasn't getting deliverance. Because I wasn't allowing myself to get delivered. And you know what? That's sometimes what our problem is. We don't have enough backbone, we don't have enough self-control to allow God to bless us. To allow God to take things out of our life that are hindering us, that are stopping us from completely serving Him. Some people say, well, you think, just one cigarette is going to send me to hell? Well, I'm not going to tell you that. Make you smell like you've been there. But that's between you and God. Right. But the thing is, if you're asking that question, then you know what? That is probably becoming a stumbling block for you. That is going to be the thing that is going to keep you from being completely open to God. Right. Completely open to His will. Why do those questions come to your mind? I think it's because the Holy Spirit puts them there so you will think about what you're doing. Whatever it may be. And there's a wide spectrum that we can look at. I remember we were going through several airports this last week. And I noticed, walked into one and they had all these magazines. And I remember the Trevor Messer was talking about, he traveled a lot on airplanes. And he saw a friend get off an airplane. Used to be, we walk off the plane and you're there to, hey, your family's in out. Not like that now. I'll tell you, it's like a prison. But anyways, he said he walked in, he saw this fellow going to a store, and he walked in behind him, and he just kind of walked up behind him, and as he taps him on the shoulder, he looks over his shoulder, and he's looking at a pornographic magazine. And he said, I remember him telling that in a message, he said, you know what, I wish I would have never have gotten up that day. I wish that I would never had seen him. And he said, why does right as I tapped my shoulder, I saw that. He turned around and he said it just turned pale white. And as we walked in the stores, I noticed that those smut magazines were on the top row, and they had a black thing in them, so you couldn't really see what they were. You know, the titles of them or anything. I thought that brought that back to my mind. You know what? If you got a problem with something, then don't go there. Don't get yourself involved in it. Get it out of your life. Because you know what? We are weak. Sometimes we give in to things that we shouldn't give into. And you tell yourself, oh, I would never do that. Don't say never, because you don't know what you would do when the devil creeps in and tries to destroy you and tries to pull you down. Number 2, the second key, exchanging your soul for worldly things. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 6 and verse 19, lay not up treasures, lay not up for yourself treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where the thieves break through and steal. They're just things. They're just things. The Bible tells us, you ask yourself, do you really need them? In Philippians chapter 4 verse 19, but my God shall supply all my needs according to His riches and glory. Those things that stop us from living for God, they're just things. Insignificant things. When we stand before God, we won't be able to have a pack of cigarettes in our pocket. Or we won't be able to have a dirty smut magazine in our hand. We won't be having a bad DVD in our you won't have any of those. Just things that are going to pass away. That are not worth your soul. That are not worth going to hell over. I'm not mad at you today. I love you. But I want you to understand, if we are going to get what God has for us, we are going to have to say no to some things. We're going to have to say yes to other things. We are starting a Bible study for the first, I think it's the second Thursday in August for the men. It's a 4-week deal. Because you know what? I want our men to get involved. I want our men to feel like, they're important. You know what? We can do whatever we want here. We can put in flowers, and the fellows, that doesn't affect us at all. If I had you close your eyes right now, not that I pointed them out, and tell me what we had on the communion table, you probably wouldn't even know. But the ladies, they don't care about the flowers. I mean, the flowers are cool. Maybe, decorating the auditorium is nice. Guys don't care about that. That's not what makes them tick. I want our men to get involved. You say, well, that's why you want to redo the learning center. You're trying to get us all pumped up and get over there. Well, not necessarily. But you know what? When we were getting the parking lot ready for the slurry coat we're going to put on when it gets at least under 1,000 for 3 or 4 days in a row, we had 25 men out there. 4 shovels, 25 men. And Brother Joe was driving the truck and dumping the asphalt out, and we had a couple wheelbarrows, and we were. But you know what the thing was? It was just the fellowship, the camaraderie, and the fact we're just getting dirty and being men. You know what I mean? But you know what? There are some guys that came that have never come to anything, and they felt a part of that. That's what we want. That's what we need. I want you to feel like, you know what, I am somebody, and this church does depend on me. Not just my check, but they depend on me.
That's right.
God wants us to give our heart, give us our heart. He wants to give us our heart's desire, but He knows, that sometimes we're something is holding us back, and usually it's the little insignificant things that keep us from getting the complete blessing that God has for us. When was the last time that you really got alone with God? What do you mean? When was the last time you really had something, a burden on your heart, and you really just stopped and prayed? And it was just you and God. It wasn't a radio playing, a TV playing, on a commercial. It wasn't kids bouncing off the wall. It was just you and God. You really got alone with God. Number 3, the third key is self-renewal. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 16 and verse 26, for what would it profit a man if he should gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? The Bible tells us in Psalm chapter 49 verse 7, none of them can be any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. In verse 8 it says, for the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceases forever. Yeah. What would you give in exchange for your soul? If you were facing hell right now, you're saying, well, I'm not facing hell right now. Yes, if you're not going to heaven, you're facing hell. Right. Wouldn't you give your life in exchange for a place in heaven? A guarantee in heaven? And you know what? You can get that guarantee today. Amen. By accepting Christ as your personal Savior. And you will no longer have to be facing hell. I know what some of you are thinking right now. I've tried it before, I couldn't do it. It's not as easy as you say, Pastor. You're the pastor, you got a direct line to God, and I don't. It's just easier for you. No, it's not. I struggle every day to try and get things, do things that I need to do every day. And the biggest thing that I beat myself up about is when I forget something that I was supposed to do. That's why I make these cards that I've lost. That's why I make these. That's why every Sunday, every service we come in, I write down all this stuff. Discipleship class, we have 13 now. But I write down these little notes. I keep in my file. I keep in my pocket. I keep this paper with me. I have one up here, so we keep things rolling along. Because I hate it. I beat myself up all the time about when I forget something that I should have done. So many people are exchanging their lives for so much less. They're exchanging their lives for things that are not glorifying God. Drugs, immorality, their thought life, hatred, lust of the flesh, pride of life. God can and wants to forgive us and help us to get on the right road, but so many of us are right there, are just right there. But we just got that one last little thing that's keeping us from total surrender. That one little thing. Think about it. If you know what it is in your life, ask yourself this. Is that one little thing, that one little insignificant thing, whatever it may cost, whatever it may be, is it worth exchanging your spot in heaven? Is it worth it? I don't care what it is. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how hard it was for you to attain. Is it worth swapping your spot in heaven? Think about it. Is it worth exchanging your child's spot in heaven because they see what's keeping you from being 100%? And you say, well, yeah, they don't know, they're just kids. And you'd be surprised what they know and how it affects them. Right. And what they see. And the concept that they have and how they understand it. They may see it as straight up wrong and mom and dad are going to hell and what can I do? When you think it's just a small, insignificant thing, would it be worth exchanging your child's life, their spot in heaven? No, you're crazy. God can and wants to forgive us and wants us to get on the right road. You know what? Some of us won't admit that we have a problem. We can't get the problem. Excuse me. We can't get the problem fixed because we won't admit we have a problem. They say the first step for an alcoholic to get help is to admit he's got a problem or she's got a problem, or a drug addict, whatever the case is, to admit to themselves, yes, I have a problem and I need some help. Well, you know what? If you're not on your way to heaven this morning, you have a problem. Right. And you need to admit to yourself that you have that problem, and you can receive help this morning. You can get what you need. Yeah. But you have to make that free. You have to make up your mind, you know what? I'm not going to live like this any longer. I'm not going to give it to myself anymore. I'm going to give it to God, and I'm going to ask God to help me. And the pastor says that God will help me, and I promise you, He will. Number 4, the fourth key is reward that we'll receive from God. Matthew chapter 16 and verse 27. For the Son of Man shall come in His glory of His Father with His angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. Now, we're not saved by works. You can't do enough good deeds to get to heaven. Only Christians are going to go to heaven. But God will look at what we've done and what we haven't done, and we'll give an account for it.
That's right.
You know what? I'd hate to stand before God and He'd say, Gary, there was that one thing, pal. I would love to let you in, but there's that one thing you just couldn't get past. You just couldn't get over. You just couldn't get out of your life. That one thing. And I'd be sitting there, oh man, can't we make a deal? Can we do something? Can I sweep the floor? Can I pick up trash? Whatever the case is, can I do something? He's going to say, I'm sorry. And I think many of us are going to be surprised when we stand in line, however it's going to be, however you've got it in your mind. You're in line behind that person thinking, oh man. And you're going through your mind, and I get a feeling that right then it's going to pop up in your mind. That one small, little, insignificant thing that you held on to, that you wouldn't let go of, and I'm going to have to stand before God. And He just told that guy, depart from me, I never knew you. What is He going to say to me? There are so many things. I've told this before. Every hour of every day, approximately 1 million pornographic sites are downloaded to the internet. Every hour. There's so many things that the devil can use. Used to be, well, you wouldn't go into a store and get one of those smut magazines because who would see it? Now you're in your home. You're all alone. Nobody else is there. Whatever the case may be. Go on, just, figure it out yourself. The devil has made it so convenient for us to sin. We're not saved by our works. We're saved by we can only get to Him through salvation. Did we choose Him? Did we choose the world? I want to get a reward from God that God has for me. Like the crown of life that James talks about in James chapter 1 verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. In other words, blessed is the man that is strong enough not to give in to temptation. For he is tried, he's tempted, he's tested, he's whatever the case may be, very high you want to look at it. He shall receive a crown of life, which the Lord hath promised him, who he loves, the one that He loves him. He didn't give in to temptation. He didn't. He shall receive a crown. But Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. For none of those things which thou shalt suffer, behold, the devil shall cast some of them in prison, that he may be tried, and shall have tribulation 10 days. But thou faithful unto death, I will give thee a crown of life. I'm not the only one that God has a reward for. The Bible tells us in 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 8, a familiar verse, henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me in that day, but not to me only, but to all those also that love His appearing. All those also that love His appearing. The sinner's not going to love to see God come back. Only the Christians. Men, if you will leave your family, they will follow, because all people want to do right and down. Your wife will follow you, your children will follow you. You first need to be the man that God wants you to be. I want to continue to challenge our men to follow God completely. He wants you to live for Him completely. One conclusion this morning. There you have it. The keys to the Christian life. Yes, there are many things that we could add to them, but I know that God has all of us in mind when He created this world. And He knew what the distractions were going to be that the devil would place in this world to cause us to stumble. With God's help, you can make it. Don't ever, ever, ever give up. Don't ever let the devil convince you it's too hard, you can't do it. I remember when I was in high school. No, actually I was in college, I had an elective in Spanish. And the teacher said, he introduced himself, he said, okay, from this point on, the next class we'll be speaking in Spanish. And I didn't listen. I was just, I don't know what I was doing. I can't imagine if I had been able to have a cell phone and all these crazy things that we have now. And so the next class we went in, and he said, whatever, buenos dias, and I said, no, hi. And then he got up in front of him, and he went off. Wow. I looked at my roommate and said, what's he doing? He told you he was going to speak Spanish the whole class, from last week on. Oh, this is too hard. I can't figure it out. So at the end of the class, I walked over to him, and he said something in Spanish. He said, hey, pal, the class is over. Let's speak English. I said, I think I'm going to have to drop the class. And he said, why? I said, it's too hard. I didn't understand a word you said. I was in here for an hour and a half. I was so lost. He said, well, you'll learn it. I said, I don't think so. It's too hard. It's too difficult. He said, well, come back next week, or no, not next week, in 2 days, and just, a little slower. Okay. A little slower. It was like a minute little slower. He made it repeat. I didn't know what he was saying. I had no clue. I was sitting there, and he walked up to me, and he gave us a pop quiz. And it was a pig, and I thought, when he handed it to me, this is going to be slick. It's an apple, it's orange, and I wrote out an apple, it's orange. And he walked over and he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said to me in Spanish first, and I said, excuse me? And he said, I need what those are in Spanish. I said, well, what do you call an apple in Spanish? And he told me. I wrote it down. What do you call an orange in Spanish? He said, no. An apple, an orange, a ball, a dog, and all these little things. I said, man, they're the same thing in English as they are in Spanish. I got mad, and I walked up and I put my quiz on the desk. I looked at it and shook his head. I said, it's all right, you can't do it. I'm not going back. It's too hard. I can't do it. But you know what? That's how we do. I can't live a Christian life. It's just too hard. You can do it. We're all speaking the same language. Just thinking as I was up here preaching in Spanish, over half of you, maybe 3/4 of you wouldn't understand a word I was saying. I probably wouldn't even understand what I was saying. But you know what? We can do it. We can make it. Let's stand together. Tonight, Brother Lee, go ahead.